Hi everyone, Polar Pro Scale Models. Welcome to the video build series. Today we're going to be starting Alpha Models 124 for Lamborghini Urus. Yes, so I've had this kit in the stash for quite a while now. It's one I've picked out to build several times and then put it back in the stash, simply kind of overwhelmed by the size of the thing. This thing weighs twice as much as most Alpha Model kits. There's a huge amount of resin in this kit. Just the interior tub, the sheer block of that, weighs as much as some of the Alpha Model kits I've built before. So it's quite an imposing model. It's a big model as well. And I just thought, out of nowhere, let's build it. So we're going to build it today. We've got a lovely colour pick for it, which looks absolutely phenomenal. And even though we knocked the body over once it's 2K'd, we push through, fix it, and carry on anyway. So yes, we're going to get started with the build today. Don't forget, I do have a Patreon down below. You can get early access on all the videos. Loads of other perks of being a member as well, including a private Facebook Messenger group, a Facebook group, a weekly bench update. You can get discounts of Pro Scale paints. Loads of perks becoming a member. And of course, the main one is keeping me being able to do this. Without the support of the patrons, whose names are listed at the end of all the videos, I couldn't keep doing this. So their support is vital. So there's links to that down below, as well as links to everything else associated with myself. Anyway, let's crack on with the build. Okay, so picking up the kit, we're going to have a quick test fit of a few parts. So very heavy kit this, a lot of resin to it, and the parts fit really well. This front piece, I almost panicked here, thinking I couldn't get it back off, but luckily we can. We've got a roof spoiler as well, which we're going to leave off for now, just to help us paint everything, because we're going to have some body colour and some black trim on this car. There's a few bits and bobs that we're going to glue in place now to make life a bit easier. So there's this little insert in the front bumper. So just test fitting it there to make sure it fits. And a little bit of Bob Smith's after we've cleaned up the attachment points. And we can glue this in place. So fairly simple kit to go together, not too overcomplicated. It's just a huge, pretty overwhelming chunk of resin, to be honest. It weighs an absolute ton, which is going to bite us in the backside a little bit later on, but we'll get to that later. Quick rescribe, using our Holly scriber just to deepen and widen all the panel lines and clear them of any debris. So literally there's a panel line, we're going to gently rescribe it all the way around, not going too heavy. We just literally reprofile it to the correct depth and size. And then with a Tamiya 2000 sponge, we're going to go around and key up all the resin. This will put thousands of microabrasions in the resin and will help our primer adhere to the surface better. So just go around, clear the pad off occasionally. I'm using it dry until you're happy it's all scuffed up. And then with an old toothbrush, we can go around and get any dust out from any recesses, light gaps, panel lines, etc. in preparation for our paint. So as I always say, preparation is key. It is vital for getting a good paint finish. So the better job you do here, the better finish you'll get. Now we'll mount this on my painted Paul Bretland stand, which I'm just rearranging. We've got our Pro Scale Paints pre-paint degreaser. So this is stuck on here with some 3M pads. We've got our pre-paint degreaser, which will get rid of any residue left behind from the casting molding process, fingerprints off me, sand and debris, whatever's left on the surface. And again, this gives us a better surface to prime to. So just being nice and careful everywhere, and then dry it off with a nice dry, fresh, clean bit of tissue. Now, remember now, if you touch the body again, make sure you wipe off where you've touched. In the worst cases where you've had contamination, you'll literally see a fingerprint on the model. Now, I've got some Pro Scale Microfiller Grey Primer. That's my colour choice of primer. We've cleaned up the body with our anti-static brush from Tamiya as well. That gets rid of any dust and debris off there. And using our Iwata CR3, which is a 0.3 revolution Iwata, at about 18 psi. We're going to put several light coats down. Probably go for 4 coats in all. First one's just a nice light mist coat all over. Once this is flashed off and dried, we can start coming in a little bit heavier with the primer. Again, we don't want to go on wet, but we just want to get a nice layer of primer. Now, because it's a microfiller primer, it will drive a little bit of texture. I've sped this footage up just to save a bit of time. It will drive a little bit of texture, but that texture helps fill any micro abrasions to the surface. So once this is fully dried, say 4 hours or so, 2 to 4 hours is fine. We can sand it off with a Tamiya 3000 sponge, and that will give us a super slick, smooth surface, perfectly primed, ready for our paint. So obviously we've got all these parts to do as well. It's the wing mirrors, the door handles, and the body that are body coloured. I think everything else is going to be black. So we're just going to prime all these up now because we want to 2K all these parts together. And finally, just at the end, making sure we've got all the wheel arches, recesses. Now, with the weight of this thing, be careful where it's mounted. It does weigh an absolute ton. Once the primer's dried, a few hours later, we're in the on the bench now. We've got a Tamiya 3000 grit sponge, and with very little pressure, we're just going all over the body and just taking off the very top surface of primer. And this just gets rid of that gritty feeling, lets the microfiller work, and it will give us a super slick, smooth finish ready for paint. Again, in the spray booth, wipe it over with the Tamiya anti-static brush again. We've got our Lamborghini Viola Parsafe base coat. This is a 2-stage paint. So we have a base coat that goes down and a tint coat that goes on top. And wow, what a colour this is. This is a beautiful colour. It was a request a long time ago, and I knew I was going to use it on something, and I had this earmarked all along. So beautiful Lamborghini colours. This is Pro Scale Paint. This is mine and my partner Hannah's business. We can colour match nearly every paint. We've got over 800 on our site already. We'll colour match at no extra cost. They are ready to spray out the bottle. They're very finely pigmented. They're not over thinned either, so they cover absolutely beautiful, as you can see. We're going through my iWater CR3 Revolution again, 18 psi. I'm just going to go around and put several light coats down. Probably get about 6 or 7 coats in all. I'm going to speed it up again just so you can have to sit there watching paint literally dry. But we're just going around the whole model. Like I said, we're going to put probably 7-8 coats down until we get nice even coverage of this base coat. Now this is the base coat. We've got a nice pearl translucent tint coat to go over the top at the end, and that's what will give us our beautiful pearl effect later on. But this is what will literally give us our depth in our paint. So just to make sure you get all the recesses, the windows, wheel arches around the lights, everywhere. Paint everywhere on that body, because you don't leave anywhere unpainted and then think, ah crap, I've got to come back and retouch it up, because these are not the paints to be touching back up. These 2-stage paints are a little bit of a pain to rematch. So yeah, just take your time here, doing our door handles and mirrors at the same time as well. And then after about 7 coats, you can see that we've got a beautiful deep purple colour now. It's absolutely beautiful now. We've got an opposing left and right coats and up and down with each subsequent coat. That ensures we get full coverage in all the panel lines and amongst all the recesses, wheel arches, everywhere. Just make sure you get a nice even coat. And obviously with each coat we've done on the body, we've done a coat of paint on the door handles and the mirror as well to keep the uniformity of the colour. Now, after that's dried for 20 minutes or so, we've got our tint coat. So the base coat's on the right, we've already put that down, and this is the tint coat. So this is a bit more of a translucent paint, and this is the pearl tint coat. So look at the colour now, and you'll see how it looks different at the end. This is what transforms it. So exactly the same as before, nice light thin coats, just building it up. We're probably going to put 6 or 7 coats down on here, just building up nice and slow. This is sped up footage, I've sped it up. It's the same airbrush, iWater Revolution 0.3, 18 psi, and we're just going to take our time, and you can see that beautiful metallic pearl effect coming through already. This is going to be an absolute game changer. We've got loads of 2-stage paints on the site. They are all absolutely beautiful, so go and have a look. Like I say, if there's a paint on there you don't see, drop us a message on our contact form or email, and we'll do our utmost to add it to the site. And we don't charge any extra to add paints to the site. And like I say, results speak for themselves. The paint job at the end of this looks absolutely phenomenal. It's a beautiful colour, and it looks even better once it's had all the tint coats. And of course, make sure we're doing our door mirrors and door handles and mirrors at the same time. And here we are, after about 6-7 coats, you can see we've got that beautiful pearlescent metal finish, looking absolutely stunning. You can see how the tint coat has brought that alive. So the base coat has done its job of giving us that lovely purple base coat, and then the tint coats give us this beautiful metallic pearl sheen, which is going to look even better once it's clear coated. So beautiful paint, laying down absolutely flawlessly. Like I say, don't go for any wet coats. You can see just how fine a mist of paint I'm putting down. There's barely anything landing on the surface. barely any paint. The paint will go a long way. You'll get 2 cars out of most bottles with ease, if not more. So they are very, the value for money is there with our paints, and the coverage is just phenomenal. Absolutely stunning colour. Really happy with my colour choice on this. And just for a final coat on our mirrors and door handles, we are done. So this has been drying now for about 8 hours. Literally, I just leave the room once it's painted, have a break for a bit. We've masked it all off with Tamiya 1, 2 and 3 mil tape, and then the 6, 10 and 18. A little bit of cling film to infill the rest of the model. And what we've done here is masked off all the black work on the car. So like I said earlier, we've got some black parts to paint. Exterior trim, robust on the wheel arches, in and around that front intake as well. So it's a case of just looking at real life references and looking. So special colour for this is Lamborghini Nero. This is a real Lamborghini black colour, absolutely stunning colour as well. And going round, I've sped this up again. We're just going to go around and lightly cover all the trim that we need to. And the mirrors are going black. I remember now. I was going to do them body coloured, and I changed my mind. That is right. So after several coats of the black, probably about 4 or 5 light coats, once it's unmasked, we got that nice transition between the purple and black. And obviously we've got other trim as well to do. While we're here, as we'll give it a panel line wash as well. It's using Tamiya's enamel black panel line wash. If there's a panel line, I'm going to put a wash in it. So just touch it, let the capillary reaction flow through, and then you can wipe off any excess with some mineral spirits. I use Winsor & Newton Sansador, which is an odorless mineral spirit, on a cotton bud, and just lightly wipe off the excess wash, and then go over finally with a bit of clean tissue to get any excess off at the end, and that's it. Adds a bit of depth to the model, makes it look a bit more realistic and not so monochromic. Yes, it just adds depth to the model. Now 2K, we're going for 2 boxes today because we've got loads of parts. We're going to wet our work surface as well. I've gloved up. I've got full length arm gloves on, nitrile gloves on each hand. We're going to use ProScale's excellent 2K system. This is our 2K system, and I am very proud of this product. It is absolutely phenomenal. It's a 2-part system of clear to activator. So if we're putting in here, say, I think I put a bit more in this one. This is about 15 milliliters of clear because it's such a huge model with lots of parts. And then I think it's 7.5 mil of activator. I'll tell by 1, 2, we put the third in, 3, yeah. So that's 3, 2.5 mil. So there's 7.5 mil of activator. So 2 parts clear, 1 part activator. So 15 mil of clear, 7.5 mil of activator. Give that a good stir up. Use a fresh pipette for each bottle. Do not reintroduce them into the bottles. Throw that away once done. And with a fresh pipette, we're going to add 5% of thinner. So the combined mix of that would be 22.5 mil. Oh, 5% would be what? About 0.7 milliliters of thinner, I think, off the top of my head. 22, 2.2. Yeah, roughly about that. Roughly about that, I think. 0.6. And then mix it all up. Again, get rid of that pipette, and then we're going to strain it as well. I always strain my 2K as a matter of course. There we go, into a fresh medicine cup, and here we go, we're ready to go. So with the Tamiya Anti-Static brush again, this is an invaluable tool. They really are fantastic. Get rid of any dust that's landed on the surface, and it should stop dust re-landing on the surface too. Now, we've got our Water Revolution. This is the CR. This is the 0.5 brush now. What we're going to do is put a nice semi-wet coat of clear down all over. Then we're going to let that flash off for 5 minutes. Repeat that again. Let it flash off for 90 seconds. And then we're going to go for a final thinned clear coat at the end. So the idea of doing the semi-wet coat to begin with is once this flashes off, it will go super, super sticky. And when we come back in with our subsequent wet coats, it helps the paint adhere to the model and reduces the risk of runs. Now, as you can see, I'm keeping a wet edge all the way along. Make sure we're getting all those recesses and nooks and crannies. And that way we ensure we get a nice, even, clear coat. Now, what you just want a nice, even, clear coat all over. We're not trying to get this mirror-like. We're just getting a nice semi-wet coat down to begin with. This is my CR5 Revolution. It's a 0.5. It's a bigger needle nozzle setup than the other one. And I solely use this for 2K. it is the one I use for it. So with that done, we're also going to do the door handles and the mirrors and all the other trim. There is loads to this, so I've left a lot of it out because we would literally be here all day. But here's the trim. So we've got the front bumper, front and back bumper, I think it is. And we're just going to 2K them all. So I've got the body in the left one, and we've got all the other bits in the right one. All we do is just transfer things across and back as and when needed. Otherwise, there's too much juggling of parts. And exactly the same as the first one. We're just putting down a nice semi-wet coat. Now, safety precautions. I am gloved up. I have my respirator on. It's a full face respirator from 3M. We've got my booth running. We've got a fresh filter. Well, it was a fresh filter before, but it's working adequately. I'm in the room on my own. There's nobody else in here, and when it's done, I'm going to leave the room while it all off gases as well. So as long as you follow these basic precautions, 2K is perfectly fine to use on an amateur level. So nothing beats 2K out the airbrush at all. It's a simple fact. So 5 minutes has elapsed. So we're here with our second coat of 2K. I've sped this up massively because you don't need to sit and watch me do the exact same coat as the first time. So we'll do that. We'll also paint everything else off camera. What we're going to do now is wherever 2K we've got left out of our original mix, we're going to thin it another 10%. So if we've got 15 millilitres left, we're going to thin 10%, which would be 1.5 mil of thinner extra. So we'll pop that in there, give it a good stir up. Now, because we've thinned the 2K, it will now spray a lot faster, it'll level a lot quicker, and because we've done all the hard work on our base coats, this will now self-level out into an absolutely beautiful clear coat, which I'm going to knock over in a bit. Yes, I'm going to knock this over in that plastic box in a bit, so stay tuned. It keeps coming loose on that stand as well, which isn't good. But what we're doing now is, again, we're going over with that nice wet coat again. Because the 2K is thinner, it's spraying a lot faster this time, and it's also going to level out a little bit better. So what I like to do is get that nice wet coat down, pop it back in the box where we do everything else, and by the time we do everything else and come back, that level of 2K is self-leveled out, and we can see if we need any more. Now, we want this to dry like glass. It should look perfect. If there's any orange peel, you've simply not put enough 2K down. So take it out and have a look around. If it doesn't look perfect, put a little bit more 2K down. Now, this is looking pretty good from what I can see there. It was a while ago I painted this, so I do forget. But if you see even a hint of orange peel, just put a little bit more 2K down, because how this looks now when you put everything away is exactly how it's going to dry. So don't be worried about putting a bit more down, especially with the Pro Scale 2K, because it's really, really forgiving, which I'm about to prove in a minute. So this 2K is pretty much bob on. It is looking absolutely perfect. There's no flaws. There's barely any dust in it. There's nothing at all. It's looking absolutely beautiful. So at this point, I pop it in that box to the left. Now, as I said, this resin body weighs a ton. And unfortunately, as I'm mucking around, I drop something, pick it up, and I nudge the box. Watch. And you'll hear me. Yes, that is the sound of me not very happy because I've knocked it over. Luckily, the only part that caught anywhere was the top of that door there. See it there? Just on that top right door. I've just caught the top of it. So a quick remix of some 2K, another couple of coats over that spot, and we fixed it. Now, unfortunately, my camera went off when I was doing it, but this is it a few hours later. The 2K is basically air dry now, and this is outside in the sun, and the colour's looking absolutely phenomenal. You can barely see where I dropped it all. When we flat it back later on, we'll get rid of it all. But you can see the beautiful clear coat, the beautiful pearlescent purple. You can see the pearl in it when the sun catches it. It is a beautiful, beautiful colour, and it's going to look absolutely phenomenal once it's polished up. So yes, be careful doing things. Everyone makes mistakes, including me. Thankfully, it was rectifiable. It was only on one little bit. It could have been a whole lot worse. I could have knocked it over outside of the box, and that would have been an absolute nightmare. We'd have been stripping that back and starting it again. Anyway, while that cures now, we're going to push on with the rest of it. So we've got plenty of resin parts to prep for primer. Some of these parts have got PE on them, so it's a case of going through the instructions and trying to decipher what has PE in it and what doesn't. Some of the parts can have PE, some of them aren't. So go through, see what needs gluing in place, use real life references if you need, and then when you're happy, you can set to priming. So everything's mounted here for primer. We're going for a mixture of Mr. Surfacer Black and Tamiya Grey, depending on the colours we're going to be using. So the interior, I've already picked my colour choice. It is going to be orange and black. It's a funky car. It's a Lamborghini. It deserves a funky interior. So already decided on this colour. I think it's going to look cool. So we're going with grey Tamiya primer for the interior. We've got Pro Scale pastel orange leather. And we're going to do some deep Napa black, I think we did on it. So with a couple of coats of each of these all over the model. I'll sped this up again because there's quite a lot of footage. We can get our base colour down, and then we've got a few hours of masking again. There's a lot of masking with this kit. We can mask off the seats and get our paint on there. So basically the centres of the seats are going to be orange, and some of the other parts are going to have accent parts on them as well. So it's a case of looking at real life references of the car. Basically, the best thing to do is find ones for sale, because they have pictures of all the interior, high detail shots, and it's great for getting inspiration for your schemes. Now the wheels, they were primed in black, and we've got some Mr. Hobby GX2 gloss black now, and we're going to make get these all sprayed up inside now. Going to use the same paint on the window trims as well, so these are going after the clear parts are on later. So just a couple of light coats of this and then a wet coat at the end to get that nice gloss black finish. Right, and then onto the brakes. So we have got Pro Scale Paint Carbon Ceramic Grey. This is to imitate the carbon ceramic brakes that are on a lot of modern day cars nowadays. Beautiful colour, properly pigmented to show the carbon ceramic colour. We're also going to do the photo etch as well. A little bit blurry there, do apologise. So just a couple of light coats of this building it up, and I find just on the last coat, just let the airbrush sit there, very finely spraying to get some of the metallic pigments just to speckle the surface appropriately. We've got textured black, which we've used on the car mats inside, so they give us a nice textured look to those. You can see that there, it looks absolutely fantastic. So the texture paints Pro Scale doing the job brilliantly as well. And then everything else is getting a couple of coats of Tamiya LP5 semi-gloss black. So nice and simple, not too difficult of a paint scheme. Just a lot of masking with this one, which is going to take a bit of time. Now for the brake calipers, we've got Lamborghini brake caliper Pearl Orange. And with several coats of this, we can build this colour up. It takes a bit of building up this one. It's quite an opaque colour, with it being a pearl, but it looks absolutely phenomenal once it's clear coated. It really does look good. So just take your time building up nice and slow until you get the colour you desire. We've got some decals to go on these as well, and they will be clear coated later. And then here we go, the tedious task of masking up these seats. This was a good few hours work here doing this. I think it was worth it in the end, because I think the interior looks quite good once it's done, but it's tedious masking. I do kind of sadistically enjoy it to a degree. I find it quite relaxing to do. It can be boring at the same time, but we've done the seats, all the consoles, the dashboard, the steering wheel as well. The steering wheel was very fiddly to do because I had to wrap the steering wheel basically, but I think the effect was well worth it. It's a bit of a blurry colour, but like I say, it's a Lamborghini. They always are quite blurry, aren't they? I could have gone just boring black, and I thought, no, somebody recommended to me actually the colour, and there we go. So we're going with Pro Scale Napa Black over the orange, and with everything masked off, we're just giving everything a couple of coats of the Napa Black, making sure we're getting all the nooks and crannies, make sure it's all fully painted, and just working our way around all the parts. There's lots of parts in the interior, and they're all big, hefty pieces of resin as well. It's a very heavy model, this one, once done, but it does look really good, and it's a good kit. If you're interested in the Urus, I'd highly recommend trying to find the Alpha model kit. It is getting a bit obscure to find, but nonetheless it's a great kit. And there you go, there's our colour painted up, our interior. I think it looks pretty good. It's very striking, looks like a Bassett Allsort, licorice Allsort, but I think it looks good. Very happy with the result. So with everything dried, I'm going to give it a brown panel line wash. So exactly like we did on the body, just touch it to the panel lines, let the capillary reaction carry it round, let it dry, wipe off the excess, and again, it just adds depth to the model. Now these Tamiya washes are not the easiest to get. You'll probably have to source them from Europe or the Far East. They're not officially brought into the UK, which is a bit of a nightmare. It'd be down to the safety warnings, but once they're dry, you can wipe it off. And as you can see, it just adds depth to the seat. It takes away that boring kind of monotone look. That's the word I was looking for before. And it just looks good. Now, tyre valves. I've got Tamiya micro drill, which we sell on Pro Scale. Brand new tool that Avenue just purchased as well. We've got our Zoom on micro drill bits again, which we've got on Pro Scale. And we've got some of the Zoom on tyre valves, which, surprise, surprise, we got over on Pro Scale. Would you believe it? So I've started adding these to most of the cars. I think they're a nice little touch. It's an easy thing to do. It's a cheap thing to do as well. So just carefully drill a hole. Just take your time here. Because these are very thin drill bits, do not snap them in there. You need a bit of control here. And I wouldn't recommend you using the printed circuit board bits, the PC board ones, because they're liable for snapping or throwing wheels like that. So we've done all 4 of those, including the valves in. No, we haven't. We've drilled them and left them out until we're clear coated. Sorry, my bad. And then we've got some decals for the calipers. Now, I can't remember. It did, yeah. The kit did come with the Lamborghini decals for the interior. And then we've got the seat decals as well. You've got to excuse me at the minute on the videos because I'm so far ahead on builds. I've literally got 2 more builds queued up to edit, so I forget where I'm at with some of the builds at the minute. We've got some decals for the dashboard as well, and there's some carbon trim for the dash and center console as well. So just standard decal procedures in the water. Carefully take it off, get them in place, get the fluid out. I'm dipping it in decal solution there. I wouldn't recommend doing that unless you're used to doing decals. And a little bit of carbon trim as well to go on, and on the console too as well in the center. So really nice interior on this one. It does look really good. We've got some decals for the steering wheel as well. They are carbon fibre accents for where the finger controls would be, the buttons would be. So just going round. Once we're done, we've got some testers dual coat, matte coat now. We're going to go around and give everything a flat coat. Now let's get rid of that sheen, and this will make it look more like leather. And obviously how much you put on is up to you. The more you thin the dual coat, the less it will dull. For me, I basically just add a squirt of mist leveling thinner, and away we go. And then onto the brake calipers and the wheels. Actually, I don't put leveling thinner in there. I put the rapid thinner in there. My bad. Yes, so we've got some Mr. Hobby Super Clear here now. I think it's GX113. A couple of coats of this on here, and there we go. That's us done for today. So we'll be back for part 2. The final part next time. As always, there is a Patreon. You get early access on all the videos if you want. Loads of other perks. Come over and have a look. And as always, a huge thanks to all my current patrons who are on screen right now. So take care, everyone. Bye bye.